All right, in Burlington, Massachusetts, a group of parents outraged after their middle school and high school kids were forced to take a survey about their sex lives. Get ready for this, folks. It's graphic, very graphic. Here's just one of the questions the students were asked in this survey. Have you ever had sexual contact with another person? Sexual contact includes things such as kissing, touching, and sexual intercourse, with the option to answer yes, no, or I'm not sure. That was one of the more tamer questions asked of the kids. Joining me now is David Hannafin, whose 13-year-old son was subjected to that survey, and Jessica Richardson, Director of Research and Engagement for the Massachusetts Family Institute. David, I want to start with you. Take me through how you found out about that survey and your reaction when you saw what they asked your kid.
Well, I found out. I went to my son's lacrosse practice straight from work, and there was a group of parents sitting in a circle talking about it, and everybody was outraged. However, I was upset, but I wasn't surprised because this was an issue back in 2023. It was an issue in 2021. So at the school committee meeting, they mentioned the word oversight, and they weren't sure exactly how this snuck through. But I had had specific conversations with people at the school system about this in years past, and nothing's ever changed.
David, tell me about the survey. Do we know what kind of a class this was a part of? And were you guys given any opportunity to opt your son out of the class?
I believe it was given in their homeroom. It was, across the entire student body. So it was, the middle school has 6th, 7th, and 8th graders in it. So all those kids were subject to the survey. And because of things like this in the survey in the past, my wife and I had gone up to the school and made it very clear that we have a perpetual opt-out for our kids. My wife and I have 9 kids. 3 of them are in college, but we have 2 in high school, 1 in the middle school, and 3 in elementary school. And this drumbeat of this inappropriate contact keeps getting put in front of the kids. And so we made it clear that we want a blanket opt-out. We wrote a letter, we put it in writing, gave it to each of the schools, talked to the superintendent, the assistant superintendent. And when they sent the correspondence out, they sent it out in an app called Parental, and it was sent out about a month before the survey was given, and it was kind of buried in some other messages because you get this thing continues to ping you all day long. You get all these messages from the school through this app, and so things can get lost. So I did not see the notification about the survey when it came through, but my son is aware that he's opted out of these things, and so my 2 high school kids, they stood up and told the teacher that they were opted out and they weren't to take it. So the high school was good about it. They let them go to the library. But my son in 7th grade was made to take the survey.
All right, Jessica, I want to bring you into this conversation. Look, the schools, and we've seen this all the time, they're like, oops, our bad. Oh, we didn't mean to do it. I'm not buying it anymore. I'm not buying it anymore, Jessica.
Well, and I don't think parents should buy it either, because nobody should be surprised that when you have the system is so broken that these things don't happen once in a while. And, the thing that really got the focus onto what happened in Burlington is the fact that these parents opted their kids out and they were still given the survey anyway. But really, anytime you're giving a survey that contains this graphic type of material, nobody should be surprised if something goes wrong. And so maybe the safest thing is just not to give surveys like this. If you can't guarantee that you're not going to violate, parents' legal rights and the rights of their children by ignoring their opt-out, then just don't do the survey at all. And really, should we be doing surveys like this? I don't think so. Our organization argues no, because there's no data collection that justifies exposing kids to things like these questions, questions about anal sex and sex toys and things like that. We're talking about, 11-year-old, 12-year-old kids here. It's outrageous.
So what sort of legal recourse does a guy like David have when a school completely ignores the opt-out ruling?
So it's actually a violation of the Protection of Pupil Rights Amendment, which is a federal law. So our legal center, the Massachusetts Liberty Legal Center, has filed formal complaints on behalf of multiple Burlington parents whose children were given this survey or forced to take this survey after they had opted out. We've also sent a legal letter to the district, and we have more complaints that are in the works. And so this is something that we really want the Department of Education to take seriously. And it's a very big issue. It's a huge betrayal of trust, what happened to these parents, and this school district needs to be held accountable.
David, I got to give you credit for being calm through all of this. This is insane what they were wanting these kids to be exposed to. And I'm just wondering why somebody's not in jail over this. It seems to me we're looking at child abuse here.
That's exactly the point. If my son's hockey coach asked him any of these questions, he'd be locked up. But yet, because they're in school, they think that this is appropriate. They think there's value in it. And to Jessica's point that she made earlier, they need to go away completely, because even if they honor the opt-outs, and so you have a kid that's opted out of the survey, and you ask questions like, you didn't read the real graphic stuff, but if you have questions like that being put in front of young kids, what do you think they're talking about at lunch or on the school bus on their way home? It opens up the door to a conversation that is not appropriate for kids of that age. And as a parent, we raise our kids we do it appropriately. So when there's an appropriate time to have a conversation about these issues, we'll have it. That's our prerogative. And it's my job as a parent to teach that to my kids, along with the values that I want them to understand as they learn about these things. So some of those questions, the question everybody has is what benefit comes from answering some of the questions, like the harsher ones that you didn't read. And I for the life of me, can't figure it out, nor can anybody else.
Yeah, Jessica, I want to give you the last word here. There may be parents watching all across the country. Maybe they're experiencing something like this in their school district. What guidance do you give them?
Well, I think this is a great reminder of why it's so important that parents are engaged and that they pay attention. The survey that came up in Burlington is something that's used in this county in Massachusetts, but it's an extension of the Youth Risk Behavior Survey, which is a federal survey. And so this could happen anywhere. And this is something, parents have to pay attention to those notifications that get sent home. But more importantly, just call your school, find out, is my school giving surveys like this? If so, why? And, can we opt, not can we, you can opt your kids out, but how do I opt my kids out? And more importantly, how do we look at removing this survey altogether?
Well, it sounds like a lot of perverts need to lose their jobs in that school district, to be perfectly blunt about it. David, Jessica, thank you both for coming on Newsmax, and good luck to you.
Thank you very
you.
much. Thanks for having me.